Well, you know what? Who else is working on some game-related movie stuff is Netflix. Because here's our next topic of the day, guys. Netflix is working on a Gears of War live-action film. Game Informer. This is an article from Game Informer coming to us. Raul, why don't you read it off? I think I read the last one already. You get this one.
Well, Netflix is celebrating by announcing plans to adapt the series into both a live-action film and an adult animated series. The streaming giant revealed the news in a tweet that's light on details, but states it's partnering with Gears developer The Coalition. Based on the tweet's wording, it sounds like the animated show will come after the movie's release. It may not stop there, as Netflix also says there's potential for more stories to follow. In terms of potential cast, Guardians of the Galaxy actor Dave Bautista has publicly petitioned to play Marcus Phoenix on several occasions. The closest he's come is appearing as himself in Phoenix's armor in a skin in Gears 5. As a skin in Gears 5. Given that Bautista is now 53, it's probably now or never to pull the trigger on that dream casting unless they go with the older Phoenix in the recent games. Whew, that's a mouthful.
Oh boy, I think that was all just one sentence, wasn't it? Gosh, all right.
It.
Sorry about that. I made you read all that.
So, so
Raul, how much do you know about Gears of War?
Nothing. I know nothing about Gears of War. Again, I'm not a big gamer.
That's true.
I know of it. I've seen, I've known of it for years. It's a popular game, so I see it come up all the time. But I've never played any of the games. I'm not familiar with the lore or anything like that. Have you played any of these games?
You want to know something? I haven't either.
What are we doing? Why are we talking about this?
Because this is still important.
People are screaming now. Like, these two idiots don't even know. They're reporting on stuff they know nothing about.
Okay, no, I will say this. I have played...
Why are we talking about... Why is this a topic we're covering?
Because we're geeks, Raul. We're geeks. We're real geeks, okay?
Yeah, but I know nothing about this.
That's okay. That's why we'll make this one quick. Because I've heard so much about Gears of War and so much about how badly people want Dave Bautista to be a part of this series and franchise. I've heard so much about it that I want him to be in this stuff. I've played some demos. Okay, look there. I've played some demos of Gears of War.
Better than I have done.
And it's very addicting just on the demos alone. But, I know that, the main character's looking for his wife all the time. Where's my wife? That's what he says a lot. But not like Harrison Ford. He didn't kill his wife. Maybe he did. I don't know. I haven't played the games. Oh, boy. Anyways, I think it's really cool that Dave Bautista is trying to be a part of this because every time I see the guy, he looks like a character that belongs in that game series. And the fact that Netflix is trying new things with this because they're like, hey, cool, we succeeded a lot with the books and game stuff for The Witcher, for their series. Why don't we do other stuff that's video game based, sort of? And what better to do than with Gears of War?
Wait, so clarify. So Netflix, they're putting out a movie on Netflix?
They're putting out a movie on Netflix, and then afterwards they have TV series stuff that's going to be popping up on Netflix as well.
Are they going to do this? See, because, some other recent news, Glass Onion came out, and it was a limited release, but it did very, very well. And, of course, Netflix has the rights to the Knives Out franchise, and so they put out Glass Onion. It did very, very well. They were kind of experimenting with putting some movies out in theaters before moving it to streaming on Netflix. Are they going to do that with this? They don't say, right?
Glass Onion is definitely an experiment right now. So they're trying to see how much money they can get from them putting it out in theaters.
Oh, it seems like it's doing pretty well. Better than if they had just put it straight on Netflix. It's just like crazy that these guys they didn't realize if you put it in theaters you could make so much more money.
Yeah, I saw it on Saturday. And it was a fun movie, and it was so really strange. It was the strangest thing seeing the Netflix logo appear on a huge movie theater screen.
Oh wow, that's gotta be weird.
Yeah, very, very weird. But also, once that was done and over with, I was like, okay, this is something new. We're trying it. Let's do this.
I've heard great things. I really want to see it.
And I think it was really fun. But anyways, going back to Gears of War, maybe they'll do something for Gears of War in theaters if Glass Onion becomes very successful in the theaters. But that being said, I think Gears of War is Netflix's version of the Halo series from Paramount Plus. Because, you know, they got their war video game stuff. So now Netflix has to have it too, because it's clearly working for Paramount. I want to sign up for Paramount Plus so badly, Raul, but there's so many to sign up for. Like, I have Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Crunchyroll, like, you name it, I freaking have it. And now I have to add another one on top of that? Come on.
Netflix and Disney Plus, they're like upping their prices on everything. And
this is the streaming wars, man. Like, this
yeah, it has been for years.
It's just been getting more and more intense, though, because all these companies are trying to find new ways to get us hooked.
Yeah. Well, since the pandemic, really, I think that really kind of got everything really kickstarted.
Definitely. And what better way to get nerds into their streaming services than making these types of video game related series and movies? I think it's also nice because we've talked about this before, that like the video game genre in Hollywood hasn't always been the best thing ever.
Not the best track record.
You know, I mean, I think we're starting to take a new turn into the idea of what these movies could be like, especially because all of us people that are growing up that used to be kids in the 90s and 2000s, we're becoming the new directors of these new Hollywood films. So we understand these games much better than the Hollywood directors from like the 90s and the 80s.
Right.
So there's more love to these films, and the producers are the same fanboys as the directors, and that's starting to become something better for all of us, really. So I don't know. I think there's some good potential in this. The other thing is, one last thing I'll say, and we'll move on to our next topic here, boys. Is that when I watched The Witcher got me into the idea of looking into the games, and it got me into the idea of reading more about the lore, and it's really interesting, really cool stuff. And I think that the same can happen with Gears of War. Again, I played the demos. They were very addicting. I'm scared that if I watch this movie and it becomes this really awesome thing and the TV series is awesome, then I'm going to be addicted to wanting to play all the games as well. But also from what I hear, it's an animated show for the series that they're planning on doing, which means, Raul, we're voice actors, and we might end up being on one of these at some point in the future. Who knows? I don't know.
Can only hope.
We can only hope. Fingers crossed that we get an audition for it. That would be wonderful.
I just hope Netflix comes to their senses after this Glass Onion thing and starts looking into seriously putting out more of their films, their original films. Not all of them, but, you know, like the really big budget ones. God, they spent so much money on, like, The Gray Man and Adam Project. They spent so much money on these big budget films, and they just put it straight to streaming. It doesn't make, like, put them in theaters. Come on, you could make so much more money.
Plus, also, like, the biggest movies that they
put
on
Netflix.
Have
to rely on ads.
Yes, exactly.
Which is what they're doing.
But the biggest problem is that Netflix has so much content that they forget to market some of their best work. You know, there's so many really good movies on Netflix that I'll be scrolling through Netflix and I'll find a movie and I'll be like, whoa, what's this? It has this actor? I love that actor. When did they do this?
Why have I never heard of it?
It's like 2016. It's been years since this came out. How have I not seen this yet? And then I watch it and I'm like, oh my God, this was incredible. I love this movie. Why didn't Netflix market this to me? You know, like what? That's something that maybe putting movies out into theaters will really help and benefit them. Not just money-wise, but marketing-wise, and really exposing the importance of their content. And the best thing is, once the movie's done being in theaters and it comes back into the streaming service, we're all going to hear about it, and we're going to go back to Netflix. And that's just what happens. Look at Disney Plus. When Disney Plus does that with their Marvel movies and Star Wars stuff, and it comes back into the streaming service, we all go back to the streaming service. I watched Multiverse of Madness 5 times already. Like a nerd. That's right. And that's that's the only point I've got for you.
Well,
anyway,
that's I mean, we'll see. I hope it does well.